Hi everyone, welcome to another video with me JCRP on Media Melon. This is my A3 size laser engraver. It has a 2500 milliwatt laser on it. After working with it for a couple of days, I finally understood how it works and I was able to get 100% result every time. But that's a video for another time. And when this video is out, I will link in the description, so please go ahead and check that out also. Now that I understood how to make this laser module work, I want to build an enclosure for it. An enclosure that I can carry things around and that also contains the fume inside and lets it out in a more manageable way. In this video, I'm going to show you the steps that I take, how I'm going to seal the enclosure and where I'm going to mount the fan and how to manage everything together. So stick around if you want to see how I do it. I start by ripping the 18mm MDF. Here I am cutting the base to size. Then the sides are cut. I set my router to remove half the material. This will create a lip for the lid to drop on. I am going to make this dado on the top and only on the front size. Oops! I ran the piece in the direction of the rotation, which is the stupidest thing. Always push the material in the opposite direction of the rotation so that you get total control. Here are all the pieces cut and you can see how it makes a box. But before I assemble, I am going to clamp the sides together so I can make some holes for the handle. I mark the position and then punch some starting holes with the Forstner bit. Here are the holes cut, and by clamping the two sides I get the holes in the same position. To join the holes, I mark a straight line between them and then use a jigsaw to make the cut. The handles are big enough, but it needs to be smooth. So I use a normal roundover bit to round the corners of the handle. I apply Fevicol glue to the base and start assembling. Just some screws are enough to hold the pieces together. This 3D printed clamp is one of the best prints I have made. It helps me align right angle pieces together until I screw it. The screws themselves act as clamp, so there is no need for any other clamps. For the back, I used a 18mm plywood because I did not have any MDF. Ironically, in my city, MDF is more costlier than plywood. I always thought it would be otherwise. This is a 3mm sheet of fluorescent green acrylic. This will go on the lid. I have to cut the sides for this sheet. Actually, it is this acrylic sheet that will hold the door together. To make the door, I cut 8mm MDF. Its color is different because it's a commercial kind. I arrange the cut pieces to form a box, on top of which I can place the acrylic sheet. I began by drilling the first hole and then used a screw to hold the sheet in place. Now I can make the rest of the holes to attach with nut and bolt. I used a 3mm SS type nut and bolt. By the way, SS means stainless steel. To attach the door to the box, I used a normal butt hinge. These are cheap and carry good weight. To insert the hinge on the back, I used a router to cut some grooves. By the way, the holes at the back are cut for installing the fans. And here the door is installed. I glue a 18mm piece of MDF to the underside of the door. This will have enough meat for the screws to chew on when I install the front part of the door. While working with thinner pieces of MDF, I found that this is the best way to join the pieces. After a few minutes, I screw the piece in place. Before attaching the front panel, I apply some glue. For the front panel, I use the same 8mm MDF. Now I can screw this piece to the thicker 18mm piece inside. I had miscalculated the height and cut the sides a little tall. Using a trim router, I cut that to the size. Man, these MDF are very dusty. And here you can see how the doors open and close. Then I take the enclosure outside and give it 2 coats of painting. I used Asian Paints satin finish. I tried two-tone painting this time, and because the first color did not dry enough, the masking paper stuck to it. The easiest way to remove that would be to use a scrubber with water. I left the acrylic panel with its protective coating so that when I'm painting it is protected. I think that was a good idea. For the power outlet, I used this AC connector and added a switch so that I can turn on and off the whole unit. These are 80mm fans that get screwed on the inside of the box. Anyway, this is the laser enclosure that is completed. Here there will be a handle which will be coming, so please follow on the Instagram to see how it looks. Right now it's actually getting printed, so I can't show you how it looks, but I can show you how the inside has been assembled. This is the A3 size laser engraver, which has some feet which I 3D printed and then screwed the feet down to the enclosure. Whenever I used to print, I accidentally will move the frame and then it will lose precision and then I will lose the print. But this will help me and save me from doing that mistake. At the back there are two 12-volt fans which are actually sucking the air out, and here is the power supply. It's a 12-volt 1 ampere power supply that powers the fans. On the sides there are these holes which provide as an inlet to the air, and the reason I kept it on the top is the air comes through here. It also helps cool down the laser engraver and then gets sucked out from the bottom. The green acrylic sheet on the top helps me monitor the prints whenever it is happening, and it is the closest color that I can find to the glasses that they provide along with the laser engraver. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Also share this video with your friends, which might inspire them to build their own. It really helps me whenever you like and share my videos. Follow me on Instagram at Mr. JCRP. The link is in the description. You can see the new projects that I'm working on currently. Until next time, happy learning.